Hi, so here's another think piece about something that's been festering on my mind for so long. I have enough to say for 10 minutes. And this time it's about the mega successful monster girl group, New Jeans. They need no introduction. Becoming mega hits from the minute they debuted, everybody and their moms know who New Jeans are. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was their pre-debut single that was already catching attention. So safe to say that New Jeans are huge. Yet, with their most recent comeback, I've begun to see some cracks in the group and in the fandom. Nothing that's going to stop them from being famous and nothing to do with the individual girls, but everything to do with how they are marketed by their company Adore and how the fans refuse to take criticism. Fans refusing to take criticism is nothing new, but bunnies are a very strange case. For starters, they are very aware of the criticism levied at New Jeans, but more so, obviously, the company. And some of them would even agree that the critics and worries are justified. Yet many still would rather choose to mock and dismiss the concern. It's a weird balancing act of defending passionately New Jeans from the criticism while also having the same criticisms, which I'm sure leaves many bunnies feeling exhausted. So before we get started, I'm going to do some disclaimers since I've already ruffled some New Jeans fans with comments I've made in other spaces. I like the members of New Jeans, and I like most of their music. Ditto and Hype Boy are one of my favorite songs to come out recently, and I'm genuinely hoping that the girls continue to see success in the future. I'm aware, though, that their success is unfortunately tied to Min Hee-jin, who will never face any consequences for her major creep behavior because she brings in so much money, and boycotts don't work. This is just to say I am not praying for the group's or the girls' downfalls. I just want to talk. So without further ado, disclaimer over. So what I mostly wanted to discuss is the marketing that Adore has chosen to do for New Jeans as of recently. There is no doubt in my mind that Adore is using shock marketing or outrage marketing to garner attention and views, especially after the whole ETA nonsense. And you might be asking, why would you say this? New Jeans don't need to do outrage marketing. They're already famous. And you know what? I agree. It makes no sense as to why they're using shock marketing. For starters, it does not fit with their image. New Jeans has this low-key, almost effortless vibe to their concept. The image they portray gives off girl next door vibe, you know what I mean? And that's not what outrage marketing is. Nothing over the top and outrageous. So the exact opposite of what you think of outrage marketing. My first thought when it comes to an artist using shock marketing is Lady Gaga in her debut years, and New Jeans couldn't be further sonically and conceptually to Lady Gaga. Yet it seems with every comeback there's something new. It would be one thing if they were a new group trying to use controversy to bring in attention, but they're not. They were never going to be new considering the label they're under. Also considering how much attention their pre-debut releases got only further proves that they don't need controversy to get people invested in their work. So you would think that a new group, which has already formed an immense amount of fame, would be averse to any controversy, much less flaming controversy. So why the constant use of outrage to promote the group? Here's what I think happened. When New Jeans first debuted, the main point of conversation was how weird Min Hee-jin was and how inappropriate she had been with minors. It didn't help that all of New Jeans was young, with more than half being underage. This only added more negative publicity for the group. And to top it all off, there was the official debut, which was the song Cookie. No matter what statement Adore puts out, that song was sexual. The ridiculous statement trying to pass off the blame onto the audience for interpreting a song that blatantly insinuates sex is offensive. Can you imagine the audacity of doing something wrong and then blaming it on others for catching and calling you out that you did something wrong? What a mess. And in the hypothetical world where the lyricist and everybody in production team didn't know the colloquial term of cookie and what it insinuates, then that is a massive problem. I did not know that cookie was a double entendre and that it insinuated something different than like the food. But within the context of the song, I could have guessed from my first hearing of it. And you might say, well, you're fluent in English, so this comes naturally to you. But you're telling me no one in production team knew English or no one knew to like check? You now have a massive problem. You have a production team that is completely incompetent. Except they did know, and they didn't care. You would think with all these points I brought up, from allegations of inappropriate behavior towards minors and an inappropriate song and an awful statement, that this was an absolute disaster of a debut. But you would be wrong. The controversy blew over as quickly as it started, and New Jeans were now one of the biggest, if not the biggest girl groups of their generation, with a massive fan base. I'm sure Adore saw how successful New Jeans became and decided that New Jeans didn't become popular in spite of the controversy, but maybe because of the controversy. Now, I don't believe this, but I definitely do believe that Adore believes this. And so they do it again, the mental hospital and what people call the mental illness aesthetic. I will say this didn't garner as much attention for this comeback and was a relatively scandal free besides that. So I'm sure Adore was really pissed about that and they wanted to outdo themselves, and they did just exactly that with ETA. Before anyone tries to say the song has nothing to do with the actual ETA group, or the song is about the estimated time of arrival, can y'all shut up now? Don't even bother. No one ever thought New Jeans was going to associate themselves with the Spanish terrorist group. Now let's actually put some thoughts behind our words before we comment on things, okay? Good. My biggest gripe with the whole ETA thing was never that they were going to associate with the actual ETA, but because there was any reason to believe they could be related. There was no reason for names to be associated with the group, especially since they deliberately decided to add characters to the music video and feature them like it was a movie. Adore planned for connections to be made. They wanted people to talk about it and argue. They wanted the outrage. When was the last time you've seen a music video with featured characters that are unrelated to the members of the group? Also, don't you think you would be careful of the names you pick, and that they would have no relation to the acronym you're also using as the title of the song if it correlates to something as incendiary as a terrorist group? You don't think someone in the production team would be extra careful? You don't think someone in the production team did see a connection and was like, hey, maybe let's not do this? And one thing I hate about Adore is that they always leave this possible deniability open. These names, it's only a coincidence because they are very common names. Actually, we shot in Portugal, not Spain, so that means we did nothing wrong. It's always so close, but there's just a little bit of space that you can make excuses for. But to me, it seems so clear. They wanted to create buzz on the recent comeback, and that they did. For the weeks before the comeback, that's all I heard about was New Jeans and another controversy. New Jeans promoting a violent group. New Jeans is not promoting a violent group. Boycott the song coming out on this date. I didn't even see the teaser, but I already knew the date it was coming out. And on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And now with their most recent music video, which has them watching the actress undress and has the members watch as she desires the male actor. Despite the music video not showing anything overtly sexual, fans are displeased with New Jeans tackling a sensual concept, and I can't blame them. Considering Min Hee-jin's past and her behavior, there's good reason to push back on these types of concepts until the members are older. I just want to point out one of the fans' defense of the music video, which is that it's supposed to be a take on the myth of Eros and Psyche, which I understand why they said that because of the painting. But how does that help in this situation? Eros, despite being depicted as a baby cherub, especially from his Roman counterpart, he is still the god of sexual love. Also, the video is not similar to the myth at all, except that Psyche can't see Eros, but that's because there's no light, not because he's more of a concept than a real thing. She knows he's there and she can touch him, unlike in the music video. So that's just stupid defense I wanted to point out because it made me snort, maybe giggle a little when I read it. I don't like the idea of the members watching as the actress Jung Ho-yeon character discovers desire. It reminds me a lot of the precocious child who is exposed to mature things and sensuality that is seen prevalent in the works that inspire Min Hee-jin. It reminds me a lot of Pretty Baby, especially if the young character played by a young Brooke Shields, I think she was 11 or 12, watching, not participating for the most part, but still being exposed to things that are too mature for her in the movie. Like how the girls watch curiously and naively as Jung Ho-yeon's character actions moves throughout the music video. So even though I can see the argument in which nothing explicit happened in the music video and that nudity in itself isn't sexual, and I come from a culture where nudity is not sexual, I was exposed to it pretty young and it didn't affect me, but I can also see why people are concerned about this music video. It just worries me about how much further Adore will go for the next comeback. So, in conclusion, Adore has found a way to create free promotion for New Jeans, and they now know New Jeans will remain unscathed by the controversy they create with each comeback. New Jeans is untouchable. And that's because they make consistently good music. I like Cool with You and Super Shy. Ultimately, I didn't think 88 was that good. Definitely not enough to be creating all that nonsense for and all that controversy. But a lot of people do like 88, and I get it. It's super catchy. I'm worried that at one point, Adore is going to go too far. But I also have hope that they won't. Ideally, New Jeans would have a creative director who wasn't so problematic. But there's nothing I can do or we can do about that. This is just disappointing to see the members' efforts be overshadowed by controversy. Almost as disappointing as the Are You Next lineup. But alas, this is the end. And there's not much I can do about that.